Dudes and dudettes, how are you guys? This is Chazzy and welcome back to the Mixer, the segment on this channel where I give you guys all sorts of detailed analysis from all walks of life. I'll talk about people, places, animals, food, sports, traveling, the whole 9 yards. Hence why it's called the Mixer, because I mix things up here in this huge playlist with over 200 freaking videos at this point. This is a very long running series, man. It's not as long as What's the Damage, but it's right up there, you know. Although, ironically, there have been more videos of the Mixer than the What's the Damage over the years. I don't really know why. It just happens because YouTube is crazy. This is a very crazy dog-eat-dog world. It's a very cutthroat industry, you know. And I should know because I've been here for freaking 7 years. My God, I'm getting so old. Anyway, guys, here's the thing. Today's video is going to be something that I've actually covered a few years ago here on this channel, but I'm going to be remaking today. Normally, when I remake a video talking about the same topic, I wear the same shirt, but I'm not doing that today because I don't want to, because the shirt that I was wearing was giving me some grief, you know, making the video because the lighting was all crappy, but whatnot. So, anyway, today I'm going to give you a very handy-dandy how-to survival guide on how to survive an avalanche. Well, actually, no, that's not even remotely close to what I'm going to say, because normally you can't survive an avalanche unless you're incredibly lucky. But I'm going to be debunking an age-old myth of if your voice can actually trigger an avalanche when you're out there in the snow. But before we get to that, let's actually discuss what an avalanche is. I'm pretty sure at this point you know that an avalanche is pretty much like a tidal wave, but on land. You know, it happens in the snow. Now, remember, when it comes to flooding, you know, like the actual water coming onto land, it takes just 6 inches of water to knock a person off of their feet and about 2 feet of water to start moving cars around, you know. It's very dangerous, but try to imagine that, but on the top of a mountain and with snow instead of water. Avalanches are very dangerous, and they sometimes seem to have a mind of their own just because of how destructive they are, you know. There are 3 different kinds of avalanches, you know. The base ones, which is the slab avalanche, when a big chunk of snow breaks off and slides down the mountain. There is a wet snow avalanche, which is a lot of snow dislocating and coming down the mountain with a wet undercurrent. It's actually the slowest kind of avalanche, but it is still dangerous because it can pick up other debris like boulders and trees and stuff, so it's not good to be caught in a wet snow avalanche. However, the powder snow avalanche is the scariest because it's actually when the snow is light and dry enough to mix with the air, so it creates this cloud above the snow that's coming down the mountain. The problem here is that powder snow avalanches can reach speeds of upwards of 150 miles per hour. So you can try as hard as you want, you're not going to outrun it, not even on a snowmobile. You're not going to ski down the mountain and outrun the thing like in a James Bond movie, you know. It's literally impossible. These are the most dangerous kinds of avalanches. Now, there are approximately around 27 fatalities per year because of avalanches in the United States alone. However, 90% of those fatalities are caused by the victim's weight on the snow rather than them making loud noises, you know. But it's actually really scary because recently there have been some more incidents that have led to around 100 or so fatalities because of avalanches, you know. But they happen more in areas where there are snowy mountains and ski lodges where people snowboard and ski and stuff, you know. So it's not like it's a very common occurrence in everyday places. However, avalanches will occur naturally anyway over the span of, you know, long periods of time. But it is still really frightening to think about how it works, you know, because bro, you do not want to be caught in the middle of an avalanche. And just to illustrate that point a little bit more, take a look at some photos of random avalanches around the world. Man, I shudder just looking at those photos. Can you imagine being buried under all that snow? I mean, if you're ever caught in an avalanche, you do have a 90%, you know, chance of surviving if you're found within the first 15 minutes, because after that your survival rates start to dip slightly, you know. After an hour your survival chances are below 50%, you know, if you're buried in snow, which is obvious. No, it's snow, you can suffocate, you know, or even freeze to death. But anyway, so now essentially, how does an avalanche, you know, exist? You know, what triggers it? And can you actually go out there and trigger one with just your voice? You know, is it actually feasible for you to cause an avalanche with just your voice? Short answer, hell no. it's not even remotely scientifically feasible for this to happen. It's pretty much impossible. Not even if you get 100 people there screaming at the top of their lungs, it's not going to be possible for you to create an avalanche. And why is that? Because of a little thing called Pascal. Pascal is a unit of measurement that is used to quantify internal pressure, stress, and ultimate tensile strength. You know, it was named after Blaise Pascal, and it's basically defined as 1 Newton per square meter. The way that it works is like this. The human voice at maximum screaming capacity produces about 2 milliwatts of power, which corresponds to 2 Pascal, right? So here's how it works in a nutshell. 2 Pascal seems like, you know, barely anything, and that's because it is. And to trigger an avalanche, it is estimated that you need anywhere from 200 to 500 Pascal of power. And you screaming as loud as you can only generates 2. Not even with a megaphone it would be enough. It wouldn't even come close, man. I mean, it's like, it's so dumb. It's this age-old myth, you know, that you have to keep your voice down on the mountain so you don't trigger an avalanche. And it's not even scientifically possible. Just to give you an idea, there are ski chalets and mountaineering groups and other people that go into the mountains to actually intentionally cause avalanches for safety reasons, you know, sometimes to take precautions or even to clear the path for other groups to traverse through. So they actually routinely make avalanches happen to clear out the snow, and obviously they use explosives, they rig them up, and these explosives generate anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 Pascal of power. That is more than enough to trigger an avalanche. But dude, 1,000 Pascal, and your voice only produces 2. Does nobody do research into these things? I mean, holy crap, man, it's literally right there. It's right there in front of you. You can, just to give you an idea, you can go on a jet plane and produce a sonic boom while screaming through a megaphone as loud as you can. You can get Corey Taylor from Slipknot to do a guttural scream through a megaphone while flying by a jet, on a jet, and it's still not gonna be enough, man. It's still not going to be enough. It is literally impossible. It's actually laughable how impossible it is, you know? Because remember how I said earlier that more victims die because of the weight than the noise? It's because avalanches, they are actually more caused by weight distribution than the actual sound, you know? So for example, if you're trudging through a snowy place and there is a risk of an avalanche if the snow is loose, and there's like, I don't know, 20 people carrying heavy equipment through the snow, they are more susceptible to causing an avalanche than if they were, you know, I don't know, having a karaoke session or something, because weight causes the snow to dislocate and come down the mountain. This is what triggers an avalanche. That's why they use explosives. It's not always about the sound of the explosions, more as the vibrations that the dynamite causes, you know? This is what makes an avalanche happen. So you have to be careful where you walk and not how you talk. Of course, you should not tempt fate and go there and start yodeling or something, or have a freaking party with loud music, you know? Don't mess around with it. Don't provoke the snow, but still, you don't have to keep your voice down to a whisper when you're in a place where there's an avalanche, you know? But there are a few more things that I'm going to cover. However, before that, just to hammer home the point a little bit more of how dangerous avalanches are, take a look here at this random clip of an actually intentionally triggered avalanche in the mountains that actually swallows a cabin down near the mountain. It's actually kind of scary, you know? But take a look anyway. Again, I shivered just looking at that. That is really, really frightening, man. Even though it was triggered, it was controlled, and the people were actually brought to a safe distance to see it. Just witnessing that in front of you and the deafening roar, you know, you guys didn't hear it because I had to mute the video and put my background music over it because the actual original audio was really crappy, you know, and there were people talking. So, but still, it must be deafening, you know. Like if you're out in the snow and you hear an avalanche coming at you, imagine you hear it before you see it. It's just like this really loud, deafening roar. It's freaking scary. Now, one time there was this experiment conducted using 20 jet planes that flew low over snow, you know, flew low over the mountains with snow to try to trigger avalanches, and they were only able to generate 2 avalanches over the course of 7 days. 20 jet planes flying low, producing sonic booms with their engines, man, caused only a couple of avalanches over the course of a week. That just goes to show you how hard it is, man, you know, because it is possible for that to happen, but it depends on the conditions, you know, because a jet plane flying by or a helicopter or any other loud noise can only produce an avalanche if the conditions are already unstable. Like, avalanches will always happen naturally, in case you don't know this, you know. They are a naturally occurring phenomenon that, you know, will always be triggered by nature, you know, because the snow starts to accumulate, you know, then maybe it'll rain or the wind will pick up really strongly, or even a tiny little piece of snow will roll down like a snowball, and it's going to trigger the rest of the avalanche to happen, you know, because the snow starts to get loose and will eventually dislodge and come down the mountain naturally. It's going to happen no matter what. Every single piece of a slab of snow has a ticking time bomb that will eventually explode into an avalanche. The problem is that the closer the avalanche is to happening, the less force will be needed to trigger it, you know. So if you're walking through a patch of snow where there actually is an avalanche close to happening, you can trigger it prematurely. I'm gonna leave a clip up here to a very, very scary video. It's really unnerving, you know, about this guy who accidentally triggers a slab avalanche while snowboarding. It's really scary, but he does survive as far as I know. The video isn't graphic, but it's very hard to look at, you know. It's really crazy. So that can happen. He was just snowboarding along, but he created enough weight distribution that caused the avalanche to happen, you know. It's really scary. So you gotta be careful, man. It's not about your voice. You can look at a piece of avalanche that's very, very loose, you know, a piece of snow that's loose, and scream as loud as you want. It's not gonna happen. But if you walk or run over it, that's gonna trigger it. There's this old James Bond movie called On Her Majesty's Secret Service that was released in 1969. You know, it's really the golden era of James Bond movies, you know. But the thing here is that in that movie, in case you guys saw it, there was an avalanche that was triggered by the villain, you know, but he did it with a flare gun. You know, he shot a flare gun and it made the avalanche happen, and that is obviously not possible. What you didn't see is that the film crew actually used 150 kilograms of explosives to make that avalanche go off. So production, man, you know, movie productions are crazy. You never know what's going to be happening behind the scenes, so it's crazy. But still, that scene there is actually, many of you might not know that it was actually practical. It wasn't special effects. I mean, we are talking about the late 60s, so that was actually a real avalanche that was triggered, man. So it's crazy. It's really crazy how it works, you know. The avalanches are very frightening and fragile things that you do not want to mess with, you know, and they happen more in ski lodges or areas where there is snow. I actually went to North Carolina once in 2009, and I went snowboarding with some buddies, you know, and we were on top of a mountain, but there didn't seem to be the right conditions for an avalanche, you know. It didn't really seem dangerous. There were a lot of people there, you know, skiing, snowboarding, walking, running, you know. They were talking loudly. So, but I think that it's an area where maybe an avalanche wouldn't be possible, but still, weight distribution and all that. It was the closest I've ever come to going to a place where there might have been an avalanche. I'm not sure if North Carolina is big on avalanches, but still, snow, mountain, snowboarding, I just got a little, I just wanted to bring that up here. Maybe I'll talk about that trip in another video in the future. But anyway, guys, I think that's it. I think I'm gonna wrap this up here. I wanted to give you a little bit of a scientifical video here. Scientifical, wow. Imagine my middle school science teacher watching this video today, you know, even though I wasn't the best student in science class back then, you know, and here I am talking about avalanches and pascals and milliwatts and whatnot. Hopefully I made her proud of me. Him. It was a him, right? I don't remember who my teacher was. But anyway, so if you guys happen to like this video, let me know in the comments below, you know, what you think about avalanches, you know, and if you notice that I'm feeling a little bit unenthusiastic or I'm rushing through this video, it's because I'm frustrated, because this is the third freaking time I'm trying to record this video over the course of a week, you know. The first 2 times didn't work out, so I pretty much memorized the script at this point, and I barely had to look at my cheat sheet. But anyway, that's it, guys. Be careful with avalanches if you're ever in an area that one can be triggered, you know. Be careful with the weight distribution, you know. Don't scream too loud, you know, just not to tempt fate or anything, but ultimately, your voice is not going to trigger one. It's impossible. Don't worry. So, if you happen to like this video, please go ahead and give it a like, and also subscribe to my channel because I release videos every single day. And while you're at it, hit the notification bell too so you can know exactly what time I upload. And it's all good. It is all good. This is Chazzy signing out for now. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Roll the avalanche, or the outro screen.